Okay, well, as most public sector organisations will know, the financial pressures on us at the moment are absolutely tremendous. In this organisation, we've lost about £50 to £60 million from our budget already, and we're anticipating probably another £60 million having to be reduced from our budget over the next 3 to 5 years, and that's probably getting close to about a third of our revenue budget. So this is really big scale change that needs to take place in the organisation. And to date, we've lost about 500 people from the organisation, but at the same time the demand on our services is increasing as people become under more and more pressure in communities and families are under more financial pressure. It creates additional pressure for us as an organisation. So we've got this double whammy of financial pressures bearing down on us, very significant financial pressures, but also an increasing demand for our services, but fewer people to deliver those services. So the only opportunity for us was to look at how we could radically transform the organisation. Well, there have been a number of challenges for HR in particular. One has been, how do we look at reducing the cost of the service, and probably reducing it more than we would reduce some of the frontline services, so we can help to support those. And then the other big challenge for HR has been around how we change the culture of the organisation to a much stronger focus on performance and productivity. So there's been two big change programmes going on. On the HR transformation side, we've delivered savings of about 4.8 million from adopting a new approach, and that's been based primarily on helping people to self-serve more, to access more services online and automate more services, and some of our services have been outsourced to other providers who can provide them cheaper. And on the performance and productivity side, we've introduced what we believe is two new radical systems. One called Delivering Successful Performance, which is a new performance management system, and we're just in the throes of introducing a new contribution-based pay system that links to that. Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier, the challenge for us was how do we drive productivity up in the organisation so we can cope with this increasing demand. And a 1% productivity improvement in the organisation is equivalent to about £3 million. So the prize on offer here was very, very big. What we realised was that we didn't have a consistent, strong approach to performance management. There was patches that were good in the organisation and non-existent patches as well. So we decided to introduce a completely online performance management system for the whole organisation that was very linked to our change and transformation agenda, so that we aligned everybody to helping us to deliver that agenda. And the new approach is based on a scorecard for everybody, and they have objectives set in a number of areas. One around how they're managing resources, be it financial resources or staffing resources or other resources in their role. Another one around how they interact with customers and deliver strong customer service. Another one about how they develop themselves and work effectively with colleagues and other parts of the organisation. And then finally, how they contribute to the transformation agenda. So aligning everybody against the corporate goals. And then we created a 5-point rating scale against which everybody's performance was rated. And we looked at not just what they delivered, the outcomes they achieved, but also the behaviours, how they achieved those outcomes. And both were really equally important to us. And this was quite a significant change for the organisation. We'd not had a rating scale of this nature before, and we had a much, much stronger focus on objective setting, very measurable objectives that we'd not had in the organisation before. And for the first time, we got information about the whole organisation, completely online, paperless, automated system. And that saved us quite significant sums in efficiency cost savings as well. Well, there was a mixed reaction, I've got to say. Some people were very sceptical, didn't believe that performance could be measured in the public sector, something that I totally disagree with, particularly when you're looking at how people do a job as well as what they achieve. People who were sceptical about the consistency of application of the system across the organisation. And what we did to address that was we've implemented a very, very thorough quality checking process. So at the end of everybody's appraisal process, there's a grandparent check, so the line manager checks the process. There's then a service level check where all the data from across the whole service is analysed. It then goes up to a corporate level check, and at the corporate management team we sit down twice a year and we spend the whole day looking at mid-year objectives and ratings, indicative ratings, and then at the end of the year we look at the end of year ratings for the whole organisation to make sure there's consistency and accuracy. And then finally the cabinet members also check consistency across the senior management team. Well, one of the things that came out when we introduced the Delivering Successful Performance scheme were people were saying this is a good scheme and why is it not linked to pay? We always had the intention of linking it to pay, but we wanted to make sure that we embedded the performance management system, that it was operating effectively, because without that robust performance management system we'd lose control over the pay bill at the end of the day, and that's what we could not afford to do. So I think in hindsight I'd have made that clearer at the beginning that that was our intention, because people were asking those questions once we'd introduced it. And the new pay system that we're now planning to introduce is based on 12 months worth of experience of operating the performance management system. So, you know, I'm happy that we've done it that way. I'm absolutely convinced that was the right way to go, because we learnt a lot from the first year of operation around, you know, making sure there's consistency and good quality objectives set initially, and we've put a lot of those issues right. So now we feel much happier, much more confident in moving into the next phase, which is all about linking performance to people's pay. We're changing our pay approach radically, and we believe that we're one of the first in the public sector to do it in this way. At the moment, people are on a 5-point scale with 5 incremental points through to the top of the grade, and they move through those points regardless of performance. So every year you'll get an increment until you get to the top of the grade. The new system is completely different, and it is completely based on people's contribution to the organisation. So it'll be linked to people's performance assessments at the end of the year. And what we have done is we've talked to our trade unions about the new system. They were very sceptical, very reluctant to negotiate on it, and eventually we got to a position where we had to go out to the organisation and we said that we wanted to introduce this and we would make it voluntary so people could opt in or stay where they were. And there's a financial offer on the table as well to those people that do opt in. So they'll get a £750 payment for opting in, and that's in recognition of the fact that we're asking them to move from a very fixed, safe, known system to one that's got more variability in it. Plus also we're asking them to move the pay award date from April to July, so we've got time to do the end of year reviews of the scores. And in addition to that, we've said to people that they will get their normal increment that they're due, and then they'll go on to a new pay system the day after the 1st of April, which is 1% higher than the existing system. Well, there's been a mixed reaction, I've got to say. You know, we're asking people to make a big change here, so we expected quite a mixed reaction. So people are saying, yes, I've worked in the private sector, this is what I'm used to, this is desperately what we need in this organisation. And then there's other people that are saying it's unfair, we can't make sure that there's consistency, can't measure performance in my job role, can't differentiate between successful performance and inspirational performance. So we've had to talk through a lot of issues, and I've been out face to face talking to big groups of staff, answering their questions and trying to explain the scheme to them. There are a couple of questions actually I'd like to pose to the group, and I really appreciate, you know, responses on these two. Number one is, I know there's a lot of private sector experience of operating these types of schemes, so if there's anybody out there that's got experience, I'd really love to know how you've managed the information that comes out of the system to link it into talent management, succession planning processes, because that's our next big phase, how we can really tie all that up more effectively. And then the second question I'd like to pose to the group is, have they got any ideas on how to be even more robust on the quality checking process, making sure there's good quality objectives and consistency of end of year ratings? Any great ideas on how to achieve that?